to order. At this time, I'd like to welcome the gallery and online viewers. Agenda number 1470 is in front of you. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to add an FYI from the rec department there as well, just a couple items. I know it's not on the agenda here, but.
No, that's fine. Did you want to put it in the reports, Councillor?
Yeah, sure, thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, whatever order you want, the reports there normally last.
Yeah.
Previous,
Okay.
thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so that's our addition. The minutes for meeting 1469 are presented. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, can I get a mover?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Hancock. Call for question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried, thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Hearing none, we shall move on to new business, and at this time, we have a gentleman in the gallery that this happens to be a town employee who has just achieved a great achievement in life and an accomplishment of getting his journey person in the trade of electrician. James, if you come forward, it's going to be my pleasure and honor to present you with something from council and the town on behalf. And if Deputy Mayor, if everyone would like to come up with a picture. Jason, do you want to get a picture? Move this over here.
Did Jason want to get in the picture or take it?
Yeah, here, Jason.
Good job, man.
Did you want to get in it or take it?
All right, so here's going to be your certificate, so you can do your anything like that. But this is very important to me. I want people to see this. This is a lot of years to get involved in this. So I actually was on the national federal board for Red Seals and the provincial, and I see the work that goes into it. And people used to make a little bit of fun, so a tradesperson can't make it to university, but in actual fact, they build universities. So. And hospitals and everything else in between. And it's no discard to anybody else, but we are equally known to be as a bachelor's degree in university. So hats off to you, James. Thanks, John. Actually, hats off. Here's a token of our appreciation for your service, and thank you so much, Mike. All right, and let's do a great picture, folks.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Good job. Your hard work paid off.
Loves the education.
It's awesome.
All righty.
You gotta go to that red steel, man. You gotta go there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that next.
Yeah. You would love it.
All right, James, thanks a million. You don't have,
Pick your
that's the
trade.
fun stuff. You don't have to stick around for the other stuff. Okay. That said, is there any other new business anyone would like to bring up?
I have just one I wanted to mention with the weather being the way it is, and I heard of a couple other communities that are considering reopening their ATV route. I don't know what it's like in the back country yet. Perhaps there's still a fair amount of snow, but it's just something I wanted to bring up. I don't know if, Jason, if you and Keith would have your own discretion around it, or what you want to do
We've actually
there.
had the discussion here in the office with Keith. I know
Okay.
even before Easter week when I was away, we had discussed. Keith got a few people that do ride ATVs, so I mean, I know it's at council discretion, so I don't know if the mayor wanted to do something to say that council would approve opening the ATV route pending the review of the municipal enforcement officer saying that the trails are in good shape. Because, I mean, the roads are fine now. It's more or less making sure that Goose Arm and the road going in there can accept, the traffic. So, I mean, I know we have had the discussion over the last 2 weeks about getting the route open. Dave, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was on Facebook the weekend. There's someone that left Halley to come to Deer Lake. He said there's still snowpack on the trail between Halley and Deer Lake.
Okay.
He had a tough time in a couple of places to try to get through.
Yeah.
Figured within a week or so, it should be melt flat and any trouble getting through.
Sure.
You can get to Deer Lake from Deer Lake to Pasadena. The trail is completely fine.
Okay, so I technically, I'm not sure on this one, I'd be the first to tell you, but I think you can do, correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Jones, you've seen this one before. In principle, go around table, all those in favor, and
I
then
would
that
be
leaves
fine
it in
leaving it in
management's
Keith's discretion.
Correct?
We always did left it up to Keith in years gone by.
Yeah, so
I think
everyone's.
he needed the date passed, didn't he?
You get a pass a date once you want.
Yeah, once he gives us the date, we'll approve it early to move the date earlier, but I still think the motion has to be made for our date because of the regulation that's in place, not just a policy.
That's why
Maybe?
we can approve it in principle.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do you want to approve it like April 15th pending weather?
Yeah, let's do that, because April
Yeah.
15th will bring us to Monday.
Yeah.
And I know even David does call for some warmer temperatures over the weekend, so we can have that, so it's easier for us to just in principle say April 15th, the route will be open. And if between now and then, if something changes that we get reports that, I mean, it's all mud,
Yeah,
it's not
we'll-
worthwhile,
yeah.
we'll pull it back and we'll put a post on social media and even on the digital board saying that we've held back the date because of, conditions of the trail, and we'll have a new tentative date to come up at the time.
Yeah, no, I definitely had a great eye, Councillor Hancock, because here's the reality, we didn't capitalize, or I should say, businesses in town didn't capitalize on a great snowmobile season, so the more that we can get quicker we can get our ATV, tourists and people moving, and the sun did shine today, so, even when it was dark before that, or after, I should say. Sorry, so, correct me, what's council's wishes on this one? So you'd have to actually make a formal motion,
I can if you want.
okay?
Make
All
one
right,
just to be safe. Make
yeah.
one just to be safe.
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to make a motion to allow Keith, of course, using his discretion and pending weather, to open the ATV route as of April 15th.
All right, so we have a mover, call for second.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Langdon, call for question. Hearing none, all those in favor, motion carried. Okay, thank you. Any other new business? Hearing none, we shall move on. Let's see here. Correspondence in front of you, item number 1, RCMP, their stats report. Municipal Affairs, budget approval letter for your information. And item number 3 will slide up into that slot, Volunteer Week 2024. We have a proclamation, April 14th to 20th for Volunteer Week. Did you want to do that now, folks, or you want to wait, put it at the end? It's up to you guys. Go ahead now, then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. So, whereas the town of Deer Lake recognizes the enormous contribution that volunteers and community organizations make to the social, cultural, and economic development of our province, and whereas it has been recognized that volunteers in Newfoundland and Labrador have a significant and positive impact on the quality of life for our citizens, and whereas the town of Deer Lake acknowledges the theme, Every Moment Matters for Volunteer Week 2024, and recognizes the many people who contribute to our town by volunteering. Therefore, we sign this proclamation and declare the period from April 14th to 20th in 2024 to be observed as Volunteer Week in the town of Deer Lake. And I will sign that on behalf of council. So we need a mover to accept. Moved by Councillor Langdon, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for question. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, on to reports, and the first one is Finance. Councillor Freak, please.
Finance met on April the 4th, myself, Town Clerk, Lori Humphreys, and Councillor Darren Fitzgerald. Item number 1, the Legion Christmas Party, recommended approval, as that was budgeted for. Item number 2, traffic arrows. We actually had 3 quotes, but the third one normally buys from the first one, so that would have been the lower one, so we recommend the Vermac for $2,294.25. You'll see in number 3, we looked for 3 quotes as well. The third person gave us more information saying that there's things that we should be looking for. So we wanted to approve in principle, but we needed more information regarding the computer that we should purchase for the EDO. Item number 4, OMB parts bulk order for oil. This is $2,517.90, recommended approval. And I have 2 tax overpayments, one for account number 11161, and the other one is for account number 113000. And we recommend those tax refunds. And I make a motion to move the report.
All right, moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for question.
Yeah, just a question there, Mr. Mayor. You got the recommended approval there, Councillor Freak, for the hire of the 2 quotes on the traffic arrows. It's 229425 for Vermac and 224883 for the non-recommended one.
We'll get a copy of those. I would say one of those has HST and the other one not. So we'll get a copy of the lowest of the tenders, the lowest of the quotes, sorry. Jason, do you have those on you this evening? No. We'll have
Okay,
to wait
just-
for the town clerk on that one.
Yeah, so we can just make a note if it's, you know, an amendment to whichever, to both
Yeah.
point of Councillor Freak and Councillor Langley.
Excellent, perfect, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, for the number 3 there, the amount, so the approval in principle is, are you deferring that or are we approving it? I guess, because you were talking about more information.
We've already approved the purchase of it, but once we were advised by CNC on the quotes that we had went out and got don't have certain compatibilities that we
Yep.
should have. So approving in principle that we would buy the laptop, but CNC is going to come back with more information regarding which computer we should buy. So it's either going to be he'll match that price and we'll go with the lowest of those 3, or give us a price on the other one and then we'll have to go back to the other 2 vendors.
And just for an
what we got.
update on that, I actually spoke to Computers and Communications
Good.
today. So
Okay.
they've actually had some similar laptops that they recommended.
Okay.
So I actually reached out to Gloria today to make her aware
Okay.
that we can make what you are requesting work, but here are some suggestions from CNC, which is essentially our IT department.
Right, yeah.
And they run our servers, so I just wanted to make sure that she was clear. We're not just changing what we're going to get you.
Right.
Is that for the compatibility with our server. We want to make sure that, where she's going to be here and working remotely as
Gotcha.
well, we want to make sure that whatever she has is going to work with our system.
Awesome.
Okay. All great conversation as always. Are there any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Accounts payable, Councillor Freak, please.
We've got accounts payable, items number 1 through 30, excluding number 4. So we'll do the report for $48,489.36.
All right, moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.
I'll step out for 4.
Okay. Item number 4 is for B&S Trucking dumpster rental for $3,427 and make a motion to pay the invoice.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Deputy Mayor Young. Call for question. At this point, I'd just like to make a note to online viewers that same as like you stepped out before and last week I had discussed why, because if you're watching online and you're not sure, that councillor just stepped, right? But so because we're actually supposed to say I'm declaring conflict, just for online viewers, just so they know. And basically we're following the rules, top above. Okay. All right, we have a mover, seconder, call for question. Any more comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to Environment and Housing, Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, we had a meeting held on Wednesday, April the 3rd. The agenda is here presented in front of you. Number 1 for general repairs, 86 Whites Road, permit issued. Number 2 for the extensions and for patios net for 72 Riverbank Road. Permit has been issued. Number 3 Elizabeth Avenue for a shed permit has been issued. And a new business, Brookside Rentals, 23 Grace Avenue, short-term rental, pending advertising service in tourism improvement. And number 5, 10 Reginald Drive, detached garage, does not want to build a home, he wants to use it as office space. This is denied as a garage is not permitted on property without dwelling. our town staff will be discussing with this gentleman to how to proceed, and any way that we can help, and we will. Number 6 on 2123 Hillside Drive, question extension of storage facilities. The business was approved in 2023 for storage units. We had to deny this because it does not meet our regulations. It's already at maximum for allowable accessory unit on the property. Number 7 for 4 Old Barmy Road. We send letters to a couple of residents here for clarification on what units or business they have there. And in response to this letter, we recommend to stay a status quo as the garage was approved in 2008 to contain a living unit, and the business approved at council meeting on May 15, 2017 to rental. And number 8 for 36 Riverbank Drive, another response to the letter. The garage permit issued as a living unit on June 26, 2019. The dwelling permit issued on May 16, 2022 to allow to be separate from the garage. Town requires access also to this lift station through this property between the dwelling and the garage. And number 9, it's just an FYI, an update for apartments and living units. I guess we're just trying to get assessment rolls through the Municipal Assessment Agency, what's 2 and what's 1, just I guess get on the same page where everybody is paying fairly, or if they're paying too much, we'll let them know, or vice versa. And number 10, Crown Land application, 162238 for a cabin in the canal area, but it's not in a watershed, so we recommend approval. And number 11 for 7A Old Barn May Road, as the company's looking to start a process to get approval to build on this land, and they ask what they are able to build, apartment, seniors, home, etc., if anything. And right now we're going to look into the infrastructure capacity in that area to make sure that anything that we do recommend or tell them that they can do, we just want to make sure we get all of our information correct. So I move that we accept the environment nursing meetings for Wednesday, April 3rd.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Call for question.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just Councillor Jones, for item number 7 and 8, was the reason the letter that was sent was just for the reason of item number 9 is to clarify and cross-reference with MMA? I'm just wondering if, the reason letters were sent, given that they were previously approved by council at both past council meetings.
Yeah, and that's actually, and also, I guess to verify, to make sure everything, because probably one area we probably heard there might be 2 rentals, and we're just trying to make clarification. There's also more letters gone out for different permits and different reasons, so we're just getting everything cleared up on our books to make sure everything is good.
Right, so mostly we're just cross-referencing with our files and MMA to ensure that they're the
Yes.
same, or?
Yes,
Excellent,
correct.
okay, thank you.
I'm not certain, based on what I read in the letter, that was the only intention. I think that the intention was to say basically that you can't have 2 dwellings on a property, and that they're sort of separate things, aren't they? Yeah, well, like I said, we sent the letter out. One was for 2 businesses, but when we dug into it, the permits were approved before the regulations come in, new regulations come in.
Yeah, I just mean the number 9 is different than number 7 and 8.
Yeah, number
It's a different
9
letter.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah, we'll just send it out there, but before, it was like, I guess number 7, we were at Old Barmy Road, we thought there was 2 units on 1 dwelling. And so we just made clarification. Now with the MAA one, the assessment agency, we're getting documents from them saying that there might be 1, and actually we think it's 2, and vice versa. So we're just getting clarification from the municipal, but these already gone down for the municipal assessment.
I'm just trying to clarify for Brett, really,
Yeah.
or Councillor Langen, sorry. That I think what he was asking was, are we just doing this to sort of make sure our assessment roll makes sense and whatever? But I don't think that was the reason we sent out for all those apartments in garages, because it's more than just those 2 as well, right? That were
Yes,
sent
it's
out.
more than them 2. Like
I was
said,
trying to
number 7
clarify what had happened, so,
Yeah.
and I don't really, I'm fine with this.
No,
I'm
yeah.
just
Look,
clarifying.
number 7 was
that's all.
what we thought it was, like I said, units and just meeting the regulations, and would have been 2 businesses operating in 1. And number 8, like I said, also was separate for dwellings. And once
Yeah.
we check into it and everything, they got 2 water and sewer there, so they do meet the regulations at the way it was before the new ones came in.
And
Right,
is it-
I guess my only concern there was, were we sending these letters knowing that we have approved in the past and hope that they didn't recognize that, because it might not be against the wishes of today's council, or do we know that it was previously approved, and, we shouldn't be sending letters to.
I wasn't on the committee, but I think I could confidently say that I think the reason you guys sent them out was, hey, let's send them to all these that don't meet our regulations, regardless, and maybe didn't know perhaps that some didn't, but they were sent to all of them, I think. But I think you're accurate in that if that were known, perhaps those two would have not been. I don't know.
Right. My only concern is, for example, you sent it to the resident of 4 Old Bombay or 36 Riverbank Road, and they were, didn't recall that they were approved in the past and complied with what the letter had said, when in reality it was already approved by council at one point. And, is that an ethical manner to go about such a concern?
Yeah, because sometimes we can't find a file that was a few years ago, so we just want clarification, and they
Right.
send us proof.
Right.
Obviously now, it's a couple more letters gone out that we allowed residents to live in garages while they're building their houses, to give them ample opportunity to, give them a chance, I guess, to help them out where it's difficult to rent and to pay for a building too going up. So there's more letters gone out, so we're waiting for more clarification on their intentions.
Yeah.
We did have someone apply for it before, same thing, they're living in a garage that we turned down, so, and they want to know why these people got theirs, and we explained to them that was done a couple of years ago, so now we'll just ask for an update.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and just to clarify for that too, Councillor Langdon, the regulations did change. So what we want to do was go out and make everyone aware that, did change. And instead of looking through not only old files, we had staff that are no longer with us. And this is one of the outcomes that we wanted. Everyone reach out individually so that the new staff, new council, everyone could be aware of what was approved in the past, and we can make these applicants and business owners aware of, if you apply now, here's what the new regulations state.
Yeah,
So it's more or less for clarity. So a lot of it we did, like I said, now we've got 2 back, we're still expecting more. And rather than treat them all the same, we treat everyone individually. Obviously, we have minutes. A lot of times there's minutes of meetings that probably took place that are not in the public record, that they would have met with councillors in the past to discuss that. And we want to make sure that we were clear. So that moving forward, we still have people that apply looking for these type of conditions, but they're no longer present.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that people are clear, well, why do they? Well, they predated a lot of what we have here now, because we did update our town regulations with our town planner in 2019. And what happened, it takes time from the time you develop a town plan until it actually gets passed through council and gets approved by the governing body. So there were some that were there. And even to the point we're talking now, that we have now, there's a housing crunch. We may look at it again when we do our town plan again. We may have to go back and revisit this.
Yeah.
So, it's not something that's always concrete. It's a very fluid.
Yeah.
And when it comes to projects or businesses that predate our development regulations we currently use, we've kind of got to treat them on a one-on-one basis. So even though it do look like, you're going after certain ones, it was to make them aware, this council, this management team want to be clear over what were discussions you had. We're not going to take anything from you, but now it's documented. So, anyone that comes out new, when someone says, well, why do they have it? We can say, here's why. You can go find it.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the clarification there, Jason, and I think that's important to note. I know I hear it all the time, and I'm sure most of you do, is, so-and-so at this civic address was permitted to do this, and, and I'm proud that we continue to develop and adapt new regulations and change that, what I think is for the better most of the time. So, yeah, no, appreciate the clarification. I think that clears most of my questions there.
All right, so all is well, everything stays status quo for the
Those two
the
there.
residents that were spoke about. Okay, any further questions?
Item number 6, that is a massive parcel of land. And is that not half like residential and commercial anyway right now?
Yeah, that's, and part of it's own agriculture.
Right.
So I
So,
think where the two now is, the other part of where they want to go is agricultural. And it runs on the medium high density. Where they want to go
any
is.
council discretion on that?
Well, because there's zonings in agricultural land too, and you can't have a commercial and operate business in you say medium.
What if
high.
it's agricultural storage?
Well, it's not what's the
Okay.
application. But it's something, like I said, once this is, once they're called, if they, as I did the one before that with 10 Original Drive, they will get the call. And if there's any options that we can do without putting the change, we obviously will.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, I know it wasn't at the meeting, but quite often we have to do this is based upon what's in front of us. The committee may have to deny the application, but the timing doesn't allow to go back to the applicant and said, if you would have said this, because then you have to be with the committee again. So a lot of times a denial is just a denial on paper. Once it goes to council, we can go back now, we can say, here's what you can do.
Okay.
So if you bring it back, so I mean, no doesn't mean no infinitely, it just means no based upon what you applied
you
for.
submitted.
And a lot of times we look for this debate, because we'll get into the council chamber and we'll say, well, what if they decide this? Well, now you're right. Now we'll go back to the applicant, we'll say, if you apply under these circumstances,
Yeah.
we can probably use discretionary powers. And that's something the committee can review again and bring back the second time.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Again, always great questions. Are there any others?
Yeah, I guess just to keep it going, it's going to be a short meeting anyway. Just kidding. No, number 5, just a little chat there about, so that one was denied on the basis that the garage is not permitted on the property without a dwelling. I guess I'm just wondering, how do we normally handle that? Because I see it a fair amount, and is it because there's no intention to build a dwelling? That's the thing? Or if the intention's there, can you build, I guess, the accessory building as long as you follow it up with the dwelling? Can the garage be on the property before the dwelling, ever? You know what I mean?
It goes against our regulation. You cannot operate a business and just a business alone in residential.
Oh, that particular piece, so it's
Yes,
more
but
about
like
the
I said,
business?
and like our town manager, everyone is different. We just got denied what the permit is, and then we can go back and say, hey, if we do this or do that, basically, like I said, all we do is turn down what's
Yeah.
law. We do give options any way we can.
So outside of this one, if this weren't a business operating in the accessory building, can an accessory building be on a lot? Remind me.
What kind of accessory building?
Garage, before the house is built.
The garage can go there,
That's what I'm wondering, yeah.
but you can't live in there.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'm just wondering if.
But a garage can't exist without a primary dwelling.
Yes.
With no services, correct?
No,
Is
there'd be no service,
So no
no
water and
electricity.
sewer. So you can have the structure there with no.
I just
service.
noticed it occurs, so I'm just trying to clarify.
How can you have an accessory building? Accessory by definition is
I got what you're saying.
adjacent to, in addition to something. So how, based on the regulations, can one have an accessory to something if there's nothing else on the property?
It's a strange name for it, I'll say.
Probably just damn wording, and to be honest with you, I really don't know. I know what business that we can do, right?
There's a reason I asked really is just around clarification, just so, because
Well,
I see it, right?
And I think it
occurs.
leads into, I can't remember the numbers now, but 6 and 7, right? Because we're approving, or we have approved in the past, people to build garages with whatever intent. And if they're gonna build there, then put water and sewer in there because their intent is to live there.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
we
we
don't.
end up in the same situation continually.
And that's why we're trying to stop it now. Like I said, with number 7 and number 8, we give them services, but due to our regulation now, we cannot do that. And we won't be doing it no more.
Right. No, I agree, but I think it's a point, if we're approving garages to be built on properties without a primary dwelling, we're going to continually run into the same issue
What issue?
of people living or
They won't be
continuing
living
to
in-
reside in the garage.
Because once the house is, well, I guess, from a living standpoint, once the house is built, they can get services to the garage, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess technically someone could do it afterwards, but.
Because even in one of the correspondence letters of number 6 or number 7, it's the owner of the property who submitted the proposal clearly wrote that this was a temporary arrangement.
Yeah.
And it was approved. And I know things have changed, and I don't have any issue with that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it just leaves that avenue open continually if we continue to approve these
And
types
we
of
will,
buildings.
I guess, for our next meeting, we will show on the regulations I guess just for council, in case anybody do ask.
Yeah, just
See,
I'll go read
or
them as
whatever.
well, but I've read them 10 times, but you just can't remember every little bit of it all the time, you know? And so I'll go back and read it again.
Well, and like we talked-
Regulations, like a union contract, every time you read it, you're gonna tell
Yeah,
it's different.
I'll go back again, but
But we talked about the housing crunch, and it's currently getting promoted federally, you know, that for senior living, you know, the granny flats on your properties, and there's funding towards it. So, you know, while it made sense, you know, backyard developments, I know I got it wrote here right on the pink red sheet, you know, knowing that we wanted to stop that, you know, to stop the whole living in a garage and never completing the home and leaving the subdivisions or the roads unfinished and not proper setbacks for what converted to homes. And there's places in town now that people are still living in garages. But I do think that we should look at progressively where the market's going, where our seniors are going, where our first-time home buyers, they can't afford to buy a home. So if they need to live on the property but in a second unit or like a granny flat, I don't think that we should totally dismiss what?
yeah.
Two separate separate things
I
here.
agree.
Garage, but a living unit or two dwellings on the land or something of the sorts. I think there's a right way to do it, so I think we should put a lens on it.
Yeah, like for me, even though like I'm sort of asking these questions, I mean, I actually would like our regulations to change. I would
too.
I would
I'd
like
love
to move
I'd love
toward it,
somebody
to
live
be
in
honest.
a smaller unit.
I got no issue, really. I just, but it has to be done the right way, and,
Well-
and it has to be tightened up in our regulations.
And I
Big
think
time.
that's the, you know, sure, I look around the neighborhood I live in, for example, like, you know, two examples where there's a garage that is used as a living unit, which was permitted at the time, but now, you know, you have nice homes around this area, and you have one garage left, setbacks aren't met, and there's no
Yeah.
intention to ever build.
The home
right?
has to be, home still has
Yeah.
to be
So
first.
there are regulations, and I
Yes,
think
home first,
forever
yeah.
people
Yeah.
are gonna circumvent around that, and it's the unfortunate reality of it, like we're seeing in this, you know, they mentioned a temporary resident, and, you know, we see it there, we see it on Amanda Avenue, we see it numerous places through
Yeah,
town.
yeah.
How do we rectify that? It's,
And
Well, like
granny
the-
flats and apartments and these, you know, these grants and things that the government are encouraging. I mean, that's a single dwelling unit. A granny flat has to be attached to your primary residence. So you're still, by definition, so you still have one living.
Yes, the house is still the first, like you said, it's the first priority, and then.
That's sort of in my
addition-
head is like, I really don't think people should build garages and stay in that garage forever, and the dwelling never comes, especially with such a big setback. But if the house comes first, I actually think it's worth exploring from, if they get open back up, and I know Councillor Fitzgerald would love to dig his hands into those development regulations and get to
And, you
work
know,
like some dough or something.
and
but-
to be honest, what we're seeing, you know, I know, for example, item number 4 right on this list here, short-term rental, that one, to my understanding, on Grace Avenue is in a occupied garage, right?
I don't know.
It-
Don't know.
Is it? I don't know.
So maybe we're not supposed to disclose that, but
I don't know.
yes, it is. You can look at the listing yourself. It is in the garage loft area that of that listing. So, you know, which I have no issues with, to be honest, as long as it's done correctly. Which, how do you do it correctly? That's
I think the only way really would be for us to tighten up our regulations. That's really the only way.
Police it.
To do it.
Visit it.
Yeah.
It ain't changed, like I said, no doubt, we're all changes.
It's just a big task to open them up,
It
isn't
is
it,
a big
Jason?
task, 'cause-
It's a big task to open
Yeah,
them up.
well, I mean, we have a certified town planner we can work with, so, I mean, based upon what we're discussing here, it would be residential medium density. We'd be looking at what we would allow for permitted usage, and we would probably look to, I mean, Baird and Associates, who actually, that's who we refer to on a lot of this, look to, and probably try to see to get ahead of it, you know, what have other municipalities done in terms of these secondary living units that we're going to keep coming across, and even to the point where how do we have it so that it can be documented? Because right now, you're getting to the point where it's becoming, you know, it's discretionary, and really, if you had it so that you went back, these things take time. So, I mean, it's not like we're going to pass a motion tonight and it's gonna be done.
Yes.
This got to be
Yes.
gazetted, the province looks at all of this, so, but it is probably something we should look at, and it is residential medium density. That's essentially what you're getting is subdivisions, and you're having short-term rentals, or you're having, you know, the in-laws that are moving in, you don't have space inside the home, you're looking at, is there a loft opportunity? So it is something we can look at, because we've seen even with zoning changes, it can take upwards of a year to have that done, and there's public consultation involved, so I mean, there's lots of opportunities then, that if the residents of Deer Lake want to chime in and say, yes, we want this, or no, we don't want this in our neighborhoods, the council has the information of the citizens of Deer Lake to be able to say, no, we're not going to bother changing, and here's why. People have spoke.
I think we, you know, if we were going to do it, maybe there's like sort of 4 or 5 key kind of things that have been noticed that we could set the stage maybe for the next council coming in, and especially if they're very clear and very obvious. And I know that council, he got his head down, but I guarantee you he's just thinking about, oh man, I'd love to tear that thing apart. But what I'm saying is, I think maybe we could set the stage and we could pick out like that 4 or 5 really key ones that we've noticed. And that's what happens over time. You notice them over time. It's like, geez, this isn't working for our community kind of thing, or it isn't working for what's happening in the economy or whatever. And so I think it's a worthwhile exercise, even though we won't necessarily see it, but the next would get to see it.
And this is basically the grassroots of the federal issues that we hear about on the daily, of housing crunches and costs and inflations and all, right? So, again.
I think too, though, if we're looking at the Airbnbs or the short-term rentals, perhaps we should ask a few more questions in terms of that. Because I feel like if we are, you know, sending out letters for people who are actually living full-time in, you know, in a living unit above a garage, but yet we have no issue in saying, oh yeah, you can't live there, but you can rent it out on Airbnb every night.
I think we can do that. You know what I mean? I really don't
Yeah, I mean, perhaps if that's the case, maybe we should defer that and look into it a bit more, because if that's the case, then that changes the whole landscape of that application, in my mind.
Right. But I guess my understanding now is this is just for information, I guess, that we sent a letter and realized that this are perfectly suitable dwellings in our community, given that they were both approved in the council meetings that are stated there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking about looking at number 4, the
Oh, sorry.
application for the short-term rental.
oh, sorry, my apologies. Carry on then, disregard.
No, folks, listen, this is all great conversation. I wish we could solve it here. We never will, but we'll change it as, you know, to impact the community as most as we can in a positive way. I won't, I can't lie. When I was on council in Labrador City, none of these issues there were zero. I mean zero, because it was a community that was built by a company that was engineered to be to spec. There was real property reports from day one. Everything was such. There was tight regulations. And here, it's different in multiple areas, but back to Councillor Jones, you know, sometimes you're trying to do the right thing and it comes back 20 years later to nip you maybe, but again, I think in general consensus, I feel confident in saying that we're all on the same team here to see residents, you know, have affordable living as best they can, and which not, but ultimately there's an ordinance worldwide in cities, communities. If not, you'd have mayhem. But again, I'd love to further this discussion after council if anyone wishes to stick around, or we've talked about possibly a shuffle coming up in, you know, just to give everyone some more experience, and it seems like everybody wants to go on Councillor Jones' committee at this point, so. With
Never
that.
boring, never boring.
But
Never boring.
Melanie suggestion was to defer number 4. Is that what you want to do?
No, we have a mover and
Yeah.
a seconder.
That's
That would
what-
have to
that's
go
what
to the
she
chair.
just-
That would
Coming out
have,
of the conversation.
that has to go to the chair, so you would have to ask.
Yeah.
If Councillor Jones, would you be willing, or did you want to discuss?
So I'm going to, yes, because I'm going through my notes here now. That's why I take them with me now. We will defer number 4 under the report
All right,
for clarification, and I guess exactly where the location is going to be at and the resident's address.
okay.
So now I'll to make a motion for the environment noticing Wednesday, April the 3rd, ordinance number 1 to 11, excluding number 4.
All right, so we already had a mover, we had a seconder. We can't go back, so we're asking for a friendly amendment.
Yeah.
All are well? All's well, okay. Last question, any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Great discussion as always, and I'd like to say after 3 terms, I could know all the answers, and sometimes I'm just sitting here learning myself because it's a difficult file sometimes. Thank you for that. Moving on, before we adjourn, I'm going to go round table if there's anything.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just add my,
Oh, sorry about that, Councillor.
Sorry, no worries.
Just didn't see it in the digital log. Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
sorry, no, I just like to congratulate the Deer Lake Minor Hockey and everyone in it who participated in provincials last weekend, from U11 A and B right up to U18 A and B, from the Southern Shore to Goulds to Gander, Grand Falls. And I know we hosted 2 divisions in Deer Lake, the U18 H tournament and the U11B Mega. It was a great success all around, so I thank all the parents and fans that came out and everyone who made it a great success. And we only had 1 medal this year, which is, as long as they had fun, as they like to say. But it was the U11A team who won gold in, where was that, Jason? In the Goulds?
Yeah, they were actually out in the Goulds.
They were in the
Mega.
Goulds as well. So congratulations to the U11A team with the only medal this year for Deer Lake Minor Hockey. Very proud of you all. And the Gracia team got an opportunity to tour the annex last week, the basement.
Females got medals.
Sorry, yes, thank you, Chris. The females did. I think we mentioned that at the last council meeting. So they did get medals, though. They cleaned up pretty good, I think, right? There's a couple in Port of Ask, and the U15s were in the straights, right?
Straight.
Right, yeah. And, so you're right, sorry. There was a female one, a couple. And sorry, Gracie had toured the annex there, so we look forward to continuing working with them and getting them in their new home there in the next coming months. And this weekend, the Deer Lake Red Wings got swept 4-0, but it was a great turnout by our community. Very proud to be from Deer Lake, as always, and very proud that our community continues to embrace and support them from the town side, the fan side, and everyone else, the volunteers and everyone. So very proud of our Red Wings and hope to see them back next year stronger than ever. That's it there, Mayor. I don't know, do I have to make a motion to
No,
accept it?
that's
That's just an
fine.
FYI, yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it. So, again, thank you, Councillor Langdon. We're going to go round table. Councillor Hancock, any comments?
Well, to be honest, I was going to bring up 2 things in new business, and I was like, I can't do 2. I'm going to keep this crew here all night. But given I got the mic back, I'll bring up this one, I guess. I was driving in. We had went out of town, the eclipse thing. Anyway, so we came back into town. As I was driving in, I noticed, I don't know why it stood out. Maybe things were super bright from the eclipse or something. But the foundation on the bandstand, I will say, really stood out to me as like something we could fix quite easily, and it would make the building look really good if you, because it would tie into obviously the new structure above it, and so like some kind of stucco or cement board or something relatively cheap, but I think it would go a long way. And then I know that the original structure had our logo on it, and so I thought that would be a pretty cool thing. We might be able to add that to rec or something, but I just wanted to bring it up.
I think we did add that in some of our signage plans and stuff, but great, if you could add that to our next rec meeting there, Glenn, that'd be great. And I think it's embraced. We had 75 years of the province this year and 75 years of Deer Lake next year, so maybe incorporate some of that stuff into it.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Hancock. Councillor Freak?
I'd like to add a little quarterly update from our fire chief. He sent this to me this morning that they have had 13 calls for emergency services in January, February, March. Some activities that they've been involved in is a recruitment drive with a current roster at 29 members. They held their election of officers in February. Let's just see. They continued the regional smoke alarm project that was spearheaded by Deputy Chief Derek Simmons of Corner Brook Fire Department. In March, they attended the Winterfest and the Career Day at Xavier Junior High, which me and Jason can attest to. They were the funnest group at the Career Day. Upcoming events, muscular dystrophy boot drive is going to be held on April the 20th from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and this is going to be at Coleman's and Foodland. They have a mock poker fundraiser being held at the Fire Hall on April the 26th, so check out Facebook for more information. We've got the Fire Smart Wildfires Community Readiness for May the 4th. They just want to note that they receive numerous requests to attend events throughout the community. They can't always attend all of them, but they really appreciate the request and they'll try their best to attend. And another friendly reminder that civic addresses on homes are very important during an emergency. So please make sure that your homes have numbers displayed and are able to be seen from the road. From our Fire Chief, Stephen Rousel.
And just to add to that, Councillor Freak, we do have civic addresses here at the town office. So
Numbers.
In numbers, sorry.
Yep.
That anyone that's looking for a number, we have them here.
Perfect.
And if we don't have the number, then we'll get it for you.
And
But
it's in our regulations. too.
yeah, it's in our regulations to have them. We've been working with the fire chief that we're soon going to have to step it up to the next level and probably go out and actually enforce and put them there, because with the the growth of 911, it becomes, and even for some points, it's that for homes that are sometimes further set back from the road, it's not that obvious. And even when you look at somewhere like High Street, for example, that the civic numbers don't always follow a pattern. Development is kind of taking place there, so it is very important, and it saves time, will save lives in terms of having those civic addresses.
I'm not sure, Amanda, do you know who's doing their social media platform now?
Well, yeah. I think Scott Bungie is
It's
and Jeff
awesome.
K. Yeah.
It has a real kind of community connected lens to it now, really trying to engage community in a creative way, I think. Yeah, just hats off to whoever's doing it. I think it's wonderful.
Definitely.
He's good at that, like, for his own business.
Councillor, your mic's not so good either. So it looks
And
like
I think maybe hats off to his wife. You know, I don't know. Maybe she helps too.
No, great point. Hats off to all our partners because they develop, they put in a lot of time. Deputy Mayor Young, comments?
Nothing really for me, just a reminder for the Seniors Wellness Day, April 20th. It's just a day to celebrate the seniors. It's our final event of the Bridge the Gap. Kind of takes a whole kind of comprehensive lens really to wellness, so financial wellness, safety online, physical wellness, mental wellness. So it should be a really cool day. Carmelita will be there doing some yoga. Shelley will be there doing some massage. There'll be some exercising events and things throughout, so it should be a good day, April 20th.
Perfect, thank you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's full capacity now. It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
There's a wait list.
Yeah.
A wait list, yes, that's the point. So that's really cool to hear, right? Councillor, thank you, Deputy Mayor Young. Councillor Langdon.
I think I'm good there, Mr. Mayor. I covered most things.
All
and,
right, thank
thanks.
you. Councillor Fitzgerald. Thank you. Councillor Jones.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Is there anything the manager would like to add?
Yeah, I would like to add that management has been working on spring cleanup 2024. So council and the residents will see some notices going out this week about drop-off. We are starting out with drop-off only. It'll be at our Public Works depot. We're looking at, I believe, next Friday, Dave, the 19th. Yeah, so we'll probably do 3 weekends of drop-off. Just to remind residents again, this is not curbside collection. We will not be collecting from the curb at any point in April. It's drop-off. So we know some people.
Just for clarification, but we will have curbside.
We will have curbside, but we're not going to have that until May month. We know people don't have vehicles, but I mean, if you have a neighbor, if you have a family member, we do have staff that, I mean, we do Friday and Saturday, but I mean, if you do have another day during the week that if you have someone can bring it up, you can always call the town office. We're more willing to accept. The town of Deer Lake is also the home of the paint recycling program, so we do have the bins there, anyone that has old paint. And we also are the home of electronic waste. So we have the one-stop shop right now for spring cleanup. So I got to give our hats off to our Public Works crew before they even start. This is a busy time of year for them. We have a lot of maintenance to do, but we feel this is something that the residents there look for each year. So we're trying some new things this year to try to get it out early because of our weather, because our crews also have to paint lines on the road, make sure ditches are cleared, new road maintenance. So just to get that out there, but you will see it on Facebook and on the website and even a push notification on the app that the drop-off of bulk items will be at the Gatehouse Road location starting on April 19th.
Please don't put your stuff on the curb yet.
Yes, and
Yeah.
please do not put your stuff on the curb on April 19th. That will be probably, we're looking at the first week of May, but we will not be picking up at the curb at any point in April.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make it.
Just make it really clear in your social media post too.
But just, you know, again, to that point, you're good? Okay, so thank you. Just for residents' clarification, a lot of people wouldn't think of it, but unfortunately, the system that we have to deal with now, I need people to hear us because we're here to try to keep your taxes at bay as best we can. There's been always lots of debate, numerous debate in budgeting. The sooner you put your waste to the curb, not only, one, we lose our curb appeal in town and it starts to look like have zero ordinance. I have no issue saying it bugs me for the month of April and May because first of all, we have potholes. No one likes them. And no one likes to look at a lot of waste that just gets out earlier. So we really have to comply. We're doing our best to keep spring cleanup for forever in a day. But here's a simple thing. If you throw a pillow, a couch, a mattress, you can make that mattress go from 25 pounds to 200 pounds if it gets saturated. So please, please, please don't put it out early and comply to what we're asking for.
And one more point on that, Mr. Mayor, is also that is the Helping Hands group that are coordinated by the Pentecostal Church. If you have any furniture that you think of any use, we'll also share those contact numbers on our social media posts that I know we did avail of them at some points last year when we had people calling, asking if we accepted tables, chairs, and sofas. But what happens, to your point, Mayor, if you put out a mattress and if we're not collecting from the curb, it's going to be ruined. But I mean, if you have a mattress that could be worthwhile, this group, we've actually approved, they have a storage facility. So they actually have somewhere now, and we kind of coordinate with them. So we will put that in social media, but it is, Dave is correct, Helping Hands is the name of the group.
Yes, I think it's helping, and they'll actually come to your home
Yes,
and
yeah.
pick it up as well, yeah.
So that is something that we will push as well because, you know, what you consider waste may not be waste for someone in need. So, you know, and if it is waste, then we can get it up to the town depot. But that is a group that we'd like to work with even more extensively in terms of something that you may have that someone else who's in need may need as well.
I know when we were cleaning out a house one time, Helping Hands came, but also the fact so things that the Helping Hands couldn't take, the other, like they kind of coordinated with other groups as well. So if that's your first point of contact, and then they can.
Yeah, and they're a tightly connected network that, I mean, they see things that they don't need, but I mean, everyone's got a list of something, and it's hard for us to know. We don't know what people need, so we reach out to those that are, you know, kind of in those kind of conversations to help out, because as one thing, anyone that's that needs a couch or a bed or somewhere, or someone that's just getting started, I mean, we're more than happy to help.
Absolutely, great point, and hats off to those volunteers because, I mean, we see and know who's driving those vans around and the volunteers within it, and they are 40 hours a week basically, so hats off to them. On another note, we had a torrential rainstorm. I have to put shout out to Public Works crew. They were out even when there was times when people wouldn't have thought they were out at all. They were out in the elements of it, and we've got lucky in some scenarios, unfortunate for some others, but we've taken some learnings from it and for future, and you'll see on the end of Fifth Avenue the great job that Public Works are doing now. Dave, you can attest that. I mean, the boys found 3 basketballs, one from they figured like the 90s, a bunch of things. I mean, and I got to give a shout out to our, although I think we need to take your phone away because every time I can predict weather. If Glenn's going to get the phone for on call, we're going to have precipitation at some point. It's almost proven day for day. So thank you, because I know the calls that you received and that you swamped your car trying to get to another call, so, and taking care of residents. So thank you, Glenn, for that. One other one. In front of me, you will see the Red Wings jersey, and you know, Friday night and Saturday, just this. I mean, unfortunately, the outcome wasn't what the community wanted, nor the team or any of the volunteers. But I don't know a community that stands behind their hometown team like Deer Lake does. They absolutely, by far the best fans in this province, if not of Canada, because I watched a lot of hockey and you will not see it like in Deer Lake, and it just makes me proud to see it and say I'm a little part of this community. And hats off to all the volunteers. It's very fitting that this is Volunteer Week because the product that you see doesn't just come easily. It's a lot of work, and I don't want to say one name because I'm going to miss another, but hats off to each and every one. Hats off to every resident that came to support their hometown Red Wings. I think they're going to come back bigger and harder again next year, and it's just so inviting and something to see your communities hopping, full capacity. And here's the other reality. I had people say to me, you guys don't have enough seats, and I said, how cool is it to be the mayor of a community that the continuous complaint is you don't have enough seats? So hats off to everyone, because that's an actual great complaint to have, okay? And the other one, as in front of me, you will see a jersey that we all stand proud to. So just for Mayor Breen, my colleague in St. John's, and my other colleague, Mayor Bent, that they house the hockey in CBS, thanks for your guys' hospitality when our community was visiting your city. But I will say this, hands down, next year's a whole new game, and I'll leave it with this. Go Red Wings, go! I'm going to call for an adjournment.
Go Red Wings, go!
There we go. And thank you for the reminder, because if anyone noticed Friday night, that there was up to 50 children that brought that arena to life. So thank you to each and every one of you. So we need a mover. Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Meeting adjourned.